Ryan had 3 rules about the cat: no furniture, no bedroom, definitely no sleeping on him. He was very clear about all 3. That was 11 months ago. Mochi is on his chest right now, and he has not once asked her to move. Ryan had 1 rule about cats. He had stated it clearly on multiple occasions to multiple people, including his wife Sarah, his mother, and at least 2 coworkers who had made the mistake of showing him photographs of kittens during lunch. The rule was simple: no cats. He was a dog person. He had always been a dog person. He had a system, a preference, and a well-reasoned position that he had held without wavering for 34 years. He was not the kind of man who changed his position on things without significant cause. The cat's name was Mochi. She had been living in his house for 11 months. She slept on his chest every single night, and he had not once asked her to move. Sarah had wanted a cat for 3 years before Ryan finally said yes. He did not say yes enthusiastically. He said yes the way a person says yes to something they are certain will not affect them, while already constructing the mental argument for why he had been right all along when it didn't work out. He had conditions. The cat would stay off the furniture. The cat would have a designated sleeping area. The cat would not, under any circumstances, be allowed in the bedroom. He was very clear about all 3 of these conditions. These conditions lasted approximately 6 days. Mochi arrived on a Saturday in February, a gray, long-haired rescue with green eyes and the kind of stillness that made her look, at first glance, like someone's lost cloud. She was 2 years old and had been at the shelter for 4 months. The intake notes said she was quiet and preferred calm environments. What the intake notes did not say, and perhaps could not have predicted, was that she would identify Ryan specifically as her preferred calm environment and proceed to reorganize her entire existence around his daily schedule without any apparent awareness that this was unusual behavior. The first sign came on day 3. Ryan was sitting at the kitchen table with his coffee and his laptop, doing the quiet early morning work he had done every weekday for 11 years, when Mochi jumped onto the chair beside him, looked at him directly for a long moment, and then stepped carefully onto his lap and sat down with the settled confidence of someone who has just found exactly what they were looking for. Ryan looked at Sarah. Sarah looked at Ryan. Neither of them said anything. Mochi closed her eyes. Ryan moved his laptop slightly to accommodate her. Then he went back to work as though this was completely normal. Within a week, it was. If you haven't subscribed yet, that honestly stings a little. Hit subscribe. You'll want to see where this goes. The bedroom happened on day 6. Ryan had been particularly firm about this one because he was a light sleeper and had read in careful preparation for the cat's arrival that cats were most active between 2 and 4 in the morning. He had mentioned this to Sarah twice. She had nodded both times. The door stayed closed for 6 nights. On the 7th night, he opened it himself. He told Sarah it was because the hallway light was bothering him. She did not argue with this explanation. She also did not believe it, but she was wise enough to say nothing at all. Mochi was on his chest by midnight. Here is something Ryan had not known about cats before Mochi arrived. He had assumed, based on years of confident opinion holding, that cats were fundamentally indifferent creatures, present when convenient, absent when not, oriented entirely around their own comfort, with no real awareness of the people around them. This assumption turned out to be specifically and measurably wrong in ways he found genuinely difficult to explain without sounding like someone who had changed his mind about something he had held very firmly for a long time. Cats, it turns out, do notice. Studies show they can distinguish their owner's voice from a stranger's, respond differently to human emotional states, and form genuine, secure attachments. Mochi had apparently read these studies. She appeared at the office door every morning at 7:03 a.m. when Ryan sat down to work. She moved to the couch at 6:30 p.m. when he finished for the day. She came to find him specifically, not Sarah, not the warmest room, not the sunniest window, when a thunderstorm rolled through at 11:47 p.m. on a Wednesday in March, and Ryan was still awake reading. She pressed herself against his side and stayed there until the rain stopped completely. He told Sarah about it the next morning over coffee. He did not mention that he had kept his hand on Mochi the entire time. Ryan had been having a harder year than he had let on to most people. A restructuring at work had left him in a role he wasn't entirely sure about, with responsibilities that felt new in ways he hadn't fully adjusted to. He was fine. He was always fine. He was reliably the kind of person who was fine, but fine and good are genuinely different things, and he had been fine for long enough that he had mostly stopped noticing the difference. Mochi noticed, or at least she behaved as though she did, which amounts to roughly the same thing when it is 2 in the morning and you are lying awake thinking about things you cannot fix before sunrise. She started sleeping on his chest on a Tuesday in April. He was lying awake thinking about a difficult meeting, and she climbed up from the foot of the bed, walked the full length of him with the unhurried confidence of a cat who has already decided where she is going, and settled directly over his sternum. He lay there for a few minutes, expecting to move her. Then he stopped expecting to move her. Then he fell asleep. He slept better that night than he had in 3 months. He did not analyze this too carefully. Does a pet ever change how you see yourself, not just as a pet owner, but as a person? Tell me in the comments. Today, Ryan no longer has a rule about cats. He has Mochi. She arrives at the office door at 7:03 every single morning and leaves when he leaves. She sleeps on his chest on the nights when he is most awake, and she has never once been wrong about which nights those are. She has claimed his side of the couch, his favorite blanket, and the spot on the bed closest to his pillow. Sarah finds this either very funny or very touching, depending on the day. Ryan has stopped trying to categorize it. He still describes himself, when the subject comes up, as a dog person. He says this with slightly less conviction than he used to. Sometimes Mochi is on his lap when he says it, which complicates the argument somewhat, and which he acknowledges when pressed. There is a photograph on Ryan's phone that Sarah took without telling him. He is asleep on the couch on a Sunday afternoon, laptop open on the coffee table beside him, Mochi arranged across his chest, with her face tucked under his chin. He looks, in that photograph, like someone who has been found rather than someone who has found something, like the cat arrived at a specific conclusion about him, and he has been living quietly inside that conclusion ever since. He made it his lock screen sometime around month 4. He has not changed it since. Some people get cats, some people get found by them, and spend the rest of the time pretending they saw it coming.